Just 30 minutes around.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا عاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله أما بعد. We thank the Almighty Allah for giving us an opportunity. We thank Him for His mercies that He's bestowed upon us. We bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except the Almighty Allah. We also bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and His messenger. Whosoever the Almighty Allah guides is really guided, and anybody who goes astray has nobody to blame but themselves. Alhamdulillah, today is the 25th day of Ramadan, right? 25. 25th day of Ramadan, a Sunday, the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 1444 years, which also corresponds with the 16th day of April 2023. Alhamdulillah, yesterday we are on Surah Al-Ma'un. We read the first part of it, but before then, just a quick reminder of what Surah Al-Ma'un is. The reason behind why the Almighty Allah revealed the surah, as we said yesterday, was that Abu Sufyan, before he became a Muslim, could slaughter, camels every week. One day a poor person came to him and he was like, just give him some of the food, and then he drove him away. Another narration says that Walid ibn al-Mughira or Abu Jahl or As ibn Wa'il was made a trustee on the property of an orphan, and the orphan came to him asking him for money to buy clothing because the orphan's clothes were tattered or the orphan was naked, and then he drove him away, and Almighty Allah revealed the surah. So, social reforms in a community, that there are people in a community who are incapacitated due to one or two reasons. And the number one person in the community who is incapacitated is the orphan, because the orphan has lost the father. And we said yesterday that in Islam, when the person is not yet at the age of puberty and then they lose the father, then that person is an orphan. But then if they lose the mother, the person is not an orphan so long as the father is alive. The reason being that Islam or the Almighty Allah has placed on the shoulders of the father nurturing and taking care of the kids. So you might be married to a very wealthy woman, or your wife has more money than you, but that does not, alleviate from you the responsibility of taking care of the family. The woman can support. Yes, because in Islam, we are encouraged or we are given the opportunity to marry wealthy women, limaliha, a woman who is rich. But the fact that you are married to a rich woman doesn't mean that you fold your arms and then you become Mijin Hajia, as the Hausa people say, Mijin Hajia, the husband of Hajia. No. You do your best. You provide for the needs of your family. So if, for example, if the woman is the breadwinner of the family, and then the woman dies, do the kids still be considered as, as orphans up to now? No. They are not going to be considered as orphans so long as you, the man, are still alive. They are not considered as orphans, but then they will be considered as people who are in need in the community. So those of us who have orphanages or those of us who support orphans, kids like that too must be helped. We can't say that because the father is alive, so they are not going to help them. No, it is the mother who is the breadwinner. The father might be incapacitated in the sense that his job doesn't bring in enough, or he's terminally ill, or there are issues that are there that he cannot really provide for the family the way he's supposed to be provided for. And then it's the woman who is taking care of the needs of the family. When she dies, the kids will not be considered as orphans, but then the kids will be considered as people who are in need. So for example, we went on further to say that if a person, let's say a 10-year-old girl starts menstruating, in Islam she's a woman. She's no longer a girl. But then when her father dies, technically we won't consider her as an orphan because she has gone beyond the threshold of who a child is. but then we will still consider her as someone who is in need. Because she cannot take care of herself, she cannot provide for herself, even though under the Sharia, she's a woman. Same way with a boy. If a boy sleeps and then he sees nocturnal emissions, he becomes what? A man. Good and bad are recorded for him. But then he might be 12 years old, he might be 15 years old. He will not be considered technically as an orphan, but then the community must take care of him because he doesn't have a job, he doesn't have a place to sleep. He is not considered technically as an orphan, but then he's considered as someone who is what? Who is in need. And we spoke generally about helping the poor. Some persons might not be poor per se, but they have difficulty in what? In meeting their own needs. Islam encourages us to help those people. And alhamdulillah, in the month of Ramadan, and earlier on, my uncle Sheikh Akil spoke about, Zakat al-Fitr, which, I think one of the scholars, the pious predecessors, have forgotten his name. He says that Zakat al-Fitr for our fasting is like sujood sahu for our prayers. When you pray and then there are issues in the prayer, you do either qabli or ba'di, right? To rectify the salah. Same way Zakat al-Fitr is for our Ramadan. Maybe in the Ramadan, things didn't go on well, you had issues here and there. Zakat al-Fitr helps you to plug those holes that might have happened during the month of Ramadan. That's what one of the prior predecessors said. I've forgotten, the name of the scholar who said that. So helping the poor is very, very, very important in Islam. People who are in need, because we are of different classes, we are of different positions, we are of different makeups. Some people make more than others. Some people, what they make in a week will take some of us a year to make. It's a fact. And that's how the Almighty Allah has designed the community and then the society. And each and every one of us has a role to play depending on what the Almighty Allah has given us. So people need to be helped. And sometimes some people cannot come out and say, help me, even though they need it. And there are people like that, in the Quran makes mentions of them, لِسَائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ. Someone will be forced to come and ask. Someone cannot ask. And you know that the person is in need. You know that the person needs it, but then he can't come and ask. And then don't say it is arrogance or pride. No. So long as the Almighty Allah makes it clear that there are some people, they can't ask. It's just their nature. It's just, their upbringing or how they grew up. They don't know how to ask and they need it. It's something which is very difficult for them to come and say, please help me or give me. Those kind of people, we must observe them in a community and then help them. And then the other thing is we spoke about helping people without embarrassing them. Helping people without looking down upon them. Helping people without making it a big deal. It's very, very important that as Muslims we learn that you help someone without making it a big deal. You help someone without it making it onto the social media. And the problem of the day with the phone, is that sometimes the good that we do, it's already on Facebook, it's gone. We give sadaqah and then it's on social media, it's gone. I'm not saying it is wrong. And I'm not saying anybody who does good and they post it on social media are doing riyah or showing off. That's not what I'm saying. But then it is an easy way for you to fall into riyah. It's very easy for you to fall into riyah, that at every moment you want to post your good deeds on social media. Yes, there are some good deeds you do publicly so that other people will learn. That's right. That's okay. So it all depends on your intention. You're doing sadaqah, but then you take the picture of the person and then this is me doing sadaqah, a selfie, and then you put it on social media. The tendency of the person being embarrassed is very, very high. It's very, very high. So just keep it low key. The Almighty Allah knows you've done it for the person. The rest of the dunya doesn't need to know. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't need to know that you're doing sadaqah. He doesn't need to know that you are doing tawaf. He doesn't need to know that you are doing sa'i. Nobody needs to know. The one who rewards you is the one who needs that, who requires to know, and that's it. I was in tawaf and someone called someone. The person was next to me, and then it was like a video call. I'm in Tawaf. This is the Kaaba. Do a prayer. Say a prayer. Say a prayer. I said, that's fine. Yeah, I don't think this is a place for us to play like that. So the group that I was moving with them, I told all of us, switch off your phones. Where we are is a serious place. Switch off your phones. That call that is going to come in is not important than the call that you're doing with Almighty Allah right now. You are in a communication with Almighty Allah. So cut it. So the moment we moved to the Masjid al-Haram, all phones were off. We were in our bags. And I had already explained to them how we were going to do the whole process. So in the Tawaf, we were together. We were packed like this. If you miss us, continue the Tawaf. Don't look for us. Continue it. When you finish, go to Safa. Go and do Safa and Marwa. When you finish and then you've not seen us, wait for us on Marwa. We will come and meet at Marwa. So, and alhamdulillah, it went smoothly. And after whatever rites we did, the group were like, Sheikh, can you just do a short video just to remind people of how to do these things? So most of the videos that I had in Hajj were after I had finished all the rites. Was just to explain to people. So just as a reminder that whenever we do good, let's not embarrass the poor person. Let's not embarrass the poor person. Sometimes we might not know that that's what we are doing. It's not intentional. But then unconsciously, we do that. And then the other thing is that let's also not consciously, berate the poor person when we give him something. Maybe you've done good to someone who is a poor person, and later the poor person gives you attitude. No. Don't make the person's attitude make you do something you're not supposed to do. The fact that you spend it on him, you give him clothes, you help him from time to time, and then he has nobody that he disrespects in this dunya except you. That doesn't mean you should also go down into the gutters with him. The story of Aisha when she was accused of, adultery, there was this guy called Mr. Ibn Athath. Mr. was a boy of Abu Bakr Siddiq. Abu Bakr Siddiq was the one who was feeding him. But then Mr. was amongst the people who was spreading the news in Medina that Aisha had committed zina. Her father is feeding you. So Abu Bakr Siddiq was furious. He didn't want to. He said he stopped feeding him. And the Almighty Allah revealed the verse, and the Almighty Allah said, no. Continue feeding him. That is not for you to decide. So the first part of the surah spoke to us about our relationship with people who are what? Who are incapacitated in a community. The orphans, the widows, the poor people, people who need help. Whatever we have in helping them, let's help them. Sheikh, let's go to the surah one more time.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Now.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين.
نعم.
فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين.
نعم.
فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون.
نعم.
الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون.
After the Almighty Allah has entreated us on how to deal with other people in a community, now the Almighty Allah comes to talk to us about our relationship with Him. So the first 3 verses spoke about how we deal with other people of the community, people that we are better off than them in terms of strength in the community. Now the Almighty Allah comes to speak about our relationship with Him. Then He says, فَوَيْلٌ فَضَّلْ شَيْخنا.
فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ.
Al-wail here, the word wail in the Arabic language, it means disaster, woe, calamity, problems, issues. That's what it means in the Arabic language. But then within the Sharia, when I say within the Sharia, because for example, a word in the Arabic language, there's its meaning linguistically, and there's its meaning within the Sharia. So for example, if you say as-salah, the word salah that we say, for the Arab who is not a Muslim, when we say as-salah, it means ad-du'a, calling. But then within the Sharia, it means the activities that we that we do. So sometimes, and most often than not, the linguistic meaning of the word help us to really understand its meaning within the Sharia, within the law. So the word wail means problems, issues, calamities. But then within the Sharia, Imam Ibn Jarir al-Tabari gives us, some meanings of it, and then they say wail means a corner in Jahannam. And anytime that corner in Jahannam is opened, the people of Jahannam themselves scream because of the problem that is coming from that corner. So imagine the problems in Jahannam, but then Jahannam itself has some corner in it that if it is opened, the people in Jahannam realize that the temperature has been increased. So the Almighty Allah says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. This Jahannam, this problem, may it be upon those who pray. May it be upon those who pray. If the Almighty Allah had kept quiet, there is going to be a problem for us. Because فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ, may calamity befall those who offer salah. If the Almighty Allah had kept quiet, then that's going to be a problem. So it's very, very important. Anytime you're reading this surah, don't stop there. Don't say فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ and then you keep quiet. You continue, you finish up the next verse. So in some narrations, for example, in Hafs, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ, that's where it stops. But then in some, variations of the Quran, it's فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ. It continues in another narration. So it's very, very important we understand that. And then the Orientalists, the enemies of Islam, they use this verse in trying to, disturb you, the Muslim. They say, you Muslim, the Quran says فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Calamity befall those who pray. Why will you still be a Muslim when the same book is berating you, is calling you that you're going to be in calamity and you're going to be in problems? What's that the next verse say, Shaykhana?
الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون.
Imam Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu says, Alhamdulillah, the Almighty Allah said, الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون. He didn't say, الذين هم في صلاتهم ساهون. There's a difference between fi salatihim sahun and an salatihim sahun. Here it means those who are negligent of the salah. Sahun, that is negligence. They are negligent of the salah. They don't pray at all, or they choose to pray when they want, or they delay the time of the prayer without any reason. These are alladhina hum an salatihim sahun. Alladhina fi salatihim sahun are those who are confused in the salah. And it happens to all of us. It happens to all of us.
No.
So the Almighty Allah didn't say those who are confused in the salah, because if the Almighty Allah has said those who are confused in the salah, then all of us are from one time or the other, we have had issues in the salah. Where the Imam even says, Waladhalin, instead of you saying Amin, you say Allahu Akbar. It happens. You get confused in the salah. So Imam Ibn Abbas says, Alhamdulillah, the Almighty Allah didn't say destruction and calamity befalls those who are confused in the salah. He said those who are confused concerning the salah, and the confusion here is negligence. They neglect the salah. Shaykhana, when we go to Surah Maryam, أولئك الذين
أولئك الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين من ذرية آدم وممن حملنا مع نوح
نعم
وممن حملنا مع نوح ومن ذرية إبراهيم وإسرائيل وممن هدينا واجتبينا
نعم
وإذا تتلى عليهم آيات الرحمن خروا سجدا وبقيا
فخلف
من بعدهم خلف أضاعوا الصلاة واتبعوا الشهوات
نعم.
فسوف يلقون غيا.
In Surah Maryam, the Almighty Allah was speaking about prophets. He narrates the story of this prophet. he brings the story of this prophet, he brings the story of this prophet, and then he said, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِم مِّنَ النَّبِيِّينَ. You see, these people that I've mentioned them, they are the people that I, the Almighty Allah, have blessed them amongst the prophets. وَمِن ذُرِّيَّةِ Adam, and also from the family of Adam. وَمِمَّنْ حَمَلْنَا مَعَ نُوحٍ, and with those that were with Noah and on the ark. وَمِن ذُرِّيَّةِ Ibrahim, and from the family of Ibrahim. وَإِسْرَائِيل, and Israel, here this is Yaqub. وَمِمَّنْ هَدَيْنَا وَاجْتَبَيْنَا, and amongst those that the Almighty Allah has guided and then chosen them. إِذَا تُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ آيَةُ الرَّحْمَنِ, anytime the verses of Ar-Rahman, anytime the signs of Allah are read to them, خَرُّوا سُجَّدًا وَبُكِيًّا, they prostrate and then they are crying. And then the Almighty Allah says something, فَخَلَفَ مِن بَعْدِهِمْ, after all these good people have left, some people came afterwards. أَضَاءُ الصَّلَاةِ, they neglected salah. أَضَاءُ الصَّلَاةِ, if you say الضِّيَاء, that is to cause a loss, to cause bankruptcy, to cause something to be meaningless. أَضَاءُ الصَّلَاةِ, they caused salah to be meaningless. وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ, and then they followed their desires. فَسَوْفَ يَلْقَوْنَ غَيًّا, they're going to face calamities on the day of Qiyamah. Neglecting salah is a recipe for disaster. Neglecting salah, it is a recipe for disaster. That is why I say that you cannot say I'm a Muslim but I am not a practicing Muslim. It doesn't add up. I'm a Muslim but I am practicing. No. Udkhulu fi silmi kafa. We are going to practice Islam, practice it 100%. In Ghana they say no libi, no laba. It's straightforward. So you can see, it's like you say I'm a citizen but I don't obey the rules. The police are going to give you a ticket if you cross the red light. You're going to receive a ticket. So if you know that in everyday activities you need to follow the laws, if you enter Islam, you follow the laws. The only issue is that you are not forced to enter Islam. When the Almighty Allah said, La ikraha fi din, it means we don't force people to join the religion. But then the moment you join the religion, then every aspect of the religion becomes compulsory upon you. It's not a buffet where you pick and choose what you're going to eat. You eat everything in Islam. When I say eat, understand what I mean. In Islam, you practice everything. You don't pick and choose. You don't choose when you want to be a Muslim and when you don't want to be a Muslim. You don't choose when you decide to be an upright Muslim and when you decide to be a non-upright Muslim. No. In Islam, you take care of everything. And don't forget the number one thing is what? Is as-salah. أول ما يحاسب به العبد يوم القيامة الصلاة. The first thing we will be questioned about on the day of Qiyamah is as-salah. And he said, Al-ahdu alladhi baynana wa baynahum as-salah. Man tarakaha faqad kafar. The differentiating factor between us Muslims and non-Muslims is as-salah. Man tarakaha faqad kafar. If you leave salah, you have apostate. You are no longer a Muslim. So let's let the kids understand that salah, that is the borderline between a Muslim and a non-Muslim. A Muslim can drink, a Muslim can commit adultery, a Muslim can do all those bad things, but a Muslim never neglects salah. It is a mu'min who doesn't commit all those issues, all those bad things, a mu'min. But a Muslim, he's capable of doing everything. That is why when the Arab Bedouins came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, قَالَتِ الْعَرَابُ آمَنَّا. They came and they said, we are believers. قُلْ لَمْ تُؤْمِنُوا. Tell them, you are not yet believers. وَلَكِنْ قُولُوا أَسْلَمْنَا. Say you are Muslims. So that is a differentiating factor between a Muslim and what? And a non-Muslim, which is what? As-salah. Prayer. And the other aspect of it is that you find some Muslims who are praying, but then the prayer has issues in it. Shaykhana, I think in Surah An-Nisa, إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ
إن المنافقين يخادعون الله وهو خادعهم
نعم
وإذا قاموا إلى الصلاة قاموا كسالى
نعم
يراءون الناس ولا يذكرون الله إلا قليلا
مذبذبين
مذبذبين بين ذلك لا إله هؤلاء ولا إله هؤلاء
نعم.
ومن يضلل الله فلن تجد له سبيلا
إن المنافقين يخادعون الله وهو خادعهم. You see the hypocrites, they think they are outsmarting Allah. وهو خادعهم. But then Almighty Allah outsmarts them. The hypocrite, he thinks that he is deceiving the Almighty Allah. That is why, wallahi, as a Muslim, the most dangerous thing to be is a hypocrite in Islam. It's worse than kufr. Do you know why hypocrisy is worse than kufr? The kafir has not worshipped the Almighty Allah. But you, the hypocrite, not you, but the hypocrite, he is worshipping the Almighty Allah. He is doing Ramadan. He is coming to pray with us in the Masjid. He is doing Taraweeh and Tahajjud. But then his heart has a problem in there. So for the kafir, he has not done any of these ibadah. But for the hypocrite, he has done all the ibadah, but he is still going to go to Jahannam. So who is at a loss? The munafiq. So إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهَ وَهُوَ خَادِعُهُمْ وَإِذَا قَامُوا إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ قَامُوا كُسَالَى. Anytime they approach the salah, they approach it in a lazy manner. يُرَاءُونَ النَّاسِ. They do it so that people will see them. They do it so that people will praise them. They do it so that people will say that, yes, this guy is a good Muslim. They do it so that people will praise them. People will speak good about them. You see so and so, his beard, mashallah. His pants are not dragging on the floor, mashallah. His sunnah, up to the level, up to standard. But then, يُرَاءُونَ النَّاسِ وَلَا يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. They do not, mention the Almighty Allah. They do not supplicate except small. They don't do it enough. They do it just something, just for us to see that, yes, so after salah, assalamu alaikum, he's gone. مُذَبْذَبِينَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ. They are swaying from one side to the other. They sway. Anytime they meet the believers, oh, we are with you. Anytime they meet the non-believers, oh, we are with you. مُذَبْذَبِينَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ. La ilaha ulai wa la ilaha ulai. They don't belong to the believers, neither do they belong to what? The non-Muslims. وَمَنْ يُضْلِلْ اللَّهِ. Anybody that the Almighty Allah has caused them to go astray, فَلَنْ تَجِدَ لَهُ سَبِيلًا. Lan is harfun nafi. It is never, anybody the Almighty Allah has caused to go astray, you can never guide the person back onto the right path. So my brothers and sisters, salah is the pillar of Islam. Salah is the bedrock of Islam. After Tawheed, the next bedrock is what? As-salah. Even if you have Tawheed and then you don't have Salah, your Tawheed is useless. If you have Salah and there's no Tawheed, that's double jeopardy, as you say in America. Muslims must understand one thing. Your Tawheed, your Shahadatu an la ilaha illallah is your passport. Your Salah is your visa, and the mercy of the Almighty Allah is the what? Is the ticket to Jannah. Your Iman, your Tawheed, your Aqidah is the passport. So you can have the passport, but if you have no visa in there, you ain't traveling. You're not going anywhere. And I understand, between dunya and Jannah, it's not visa free. Someone will say, Sheikh, but there's passport and then there are some countries that are visa free. Between the dunya and the akhirah, there is no visa free. You must get a visa. And the visa is what? Is the good deeds, the salah, the siyam, the fasting, the zakat that you give. These are what? The visas. The tickets is the rahmah of the Almighty Allah. Because the Prophet Muhammad told the Sahaba, لَن يَنْجُوَ أَحَدُكُمْ بِعَمَلِهِ. None of you will escape on the day of Qiyamah solely based on your good deeds. Nobody is going to get any, is not going to escape. And the Sahaba were like, وَلَوْ أَنْتَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. Even you, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, حَتَّى أَنَا, even me, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, حَتَّى يَتَغَمَّدَنِي اللَّهُ بِرَحْمَتِي, unless the Almighty Allah clothes me with His mercy. That's how I get to Jannah. So don't think that your salah is the sole reason you are going to go to Jannah. It's the rahmah of the Almighty Allah. That's why I said your tawheed and your aqidah is your passport. Your salah is the number one visa. And then the rahmah of the Almighty Allah is the plane tickets to Jannah. You must have these two things before the rahmah of the Almighty Allah manifests. If you don't have these two things, the rahmah of the Almighty Allah is not going to manifest. So you can have someone who has done all forms of good things in this dunya, but because that passport, that tawheed and aqidah is not there, the rahmah of the Almighty Allah is not going to manifest on the day of Qiyamah. He's going to get all the good here in the dunya. So as a Muslim, you need to be very, very careful of that. Your aqidah should be clean. And then your ibadah should also be clean. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates to us a hadith, and Imam Muslim, reports this hadith, where Abu Hurairah says, I heard the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, Shaykhana, before we read that hadith, read us the ayah, الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ.
الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون.
This part of the verse is also very, very important, which is speaking about showing off. Riyah, showing off. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, أَخْوَفُ مَا أَخَافُ عَلَى أُمَّتِي الشِّرْكُ الْأَصْغَرُ. The most dangerous thing I fear for my community is lesser shirk. Not the bigger shirk, the lesser shirk. وَالشِّرْكُ الْأَصْغَرُ هُوَ الرِّيَاء, showing off. Showing off. Shirk al-Akbar is associating partners with Almighty Allah. Clearly, that's clear. But then Riyah, showing off, is you are doing ibadah that the Almighty Allah says you should do it. But then you're doing it so that people will praise you. That's where showing off comes in. Abu Hurairah says he heard the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam say that the first person that is going to be judged on the day of Qiyamah is rajulun istushhida. Is a man who was killed on the path of the Almighty Allah. This hadith, I'm going to go a little bit blunt with us. Our brothers who help in maintaining the masjid, this first part of hadith is for you. Our brothers who make sure that the masjid is always clean. The masjid washroom always has toilet paper, and then it always has soap. The brothers who make sure that our cars are safe when we are in the masjid praying. They sacrifice their energies, they sacrifice their lives. Because sometimes I see some of them in bulletproofs. And of course, they must protect themselves, because you don't know who is out there, who is a bigot, who has some bigotry against Muslims. He's going to come with anything. And then recently, an imam in Patterson, New Jersey was stabbed when he was reading Salah. So our brothers out there, important members of the community, we need to always pat them on the back. We need to always appreciate what they are doing. But then my word to them first is that, wallahi, make sure that this service you're rendering must be for the Almighty Allah and Almighty Allah alone. Clean. I know you don't take anything from the masjid. I'm aware that you don't take any salary for doing that. I'm very much aware of that. So you're coming out of your own volition. You're coming to serve, use your time, spend hours on ending. Whilst we are here praying, you are out there making sure that everything goes on smoothly. Someone might say, no, but we have CCTV cameras. The CCTV cameras do not arrest the person when he's doing the thing. It only gives us something in retrospect. But these guys are out there. If it's in the cold of winter, they are out there. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ainani, there are two eyes. Lan tamassahum an-naru abada. Fire is never going to, get to them. Ainun bakat min khashyatillah. An eye that wept because of fear of the Almighty Allah. And then secondly, ainun batat tahrusu fi sabilillah. The eye that stayed awake on the cause of the Almighty Allah. These two eyes, fire is not going to touch them. So the brothers that are maintaining the masjid. This first part of hadith is for you. فَأَتَى بِهِ فَعَرَّفَهُ نِعْمَهُ فَعَرَّفَهَا. He was shown the mercy of the Almighty Allah. He was killed on the path of the Almighty Allah. Jihad fi sabilillah. فَمَا عَمِلْتَ فِيهَا. What did you do with those ni'mah? What did you do with the strength that the Almighty Allah gave you? And then he would say, قَاتَلْتُ فِيكَ حَتَّى اسْتُشْهِدْتُ. He said, yes. Wallah, Ya Allah, I fought on your path until I was killed. Ya Allah, I protected the masjid. A guy came with a knife, he stabbed me. Ya Allah, I was there when they came with the machine gun, and then I took the bullets. I received them all. قَالَ كَذَبْتَ. You are lying. وَلَكِنَّكَ قَاتَلْتَ لِأَنْ يُقَالْ جَرِيء. You did that so that the people of Masjid will say, wow, you are brave, man. You are strong. فَقَدْ قِيل. It was said in the dunya. The guys praised you. Wasatiyah praised you. The Muslim community in Philadelphia praised you. They say you are a good guy. You are strong. You are brave. You are praised. ثُمَّ أُمِرَ بِهِ فَسُحِبَ عَلَى وَجْهِ حَتَّى أُلْقِيَ فِي النَّارِ. And then the Zabaniya, the angels of Jahannam will pick him, and then they will throw him with the face into Jahannam. He has done good, but because his intention is not for the service of the Almighty Allah. So these are for the brothers who are engaging in the protection, the provider, and then everything of the masjid. Now, the second one goes to us. Those who sit here and talk to you. Those who lead you in salah. Those who mount the mimbar and then we speak. Those who you call and say, Shaykh, I have this question. Those who you call, I have this issue. وَرَجُلٌ تَعَلَّمَ الْعِلْمَ وَعَلَّمَهُ وَقَرَأَ الْقُرْآنِ. A man who had gone to study knowledge, and then he taught the knowledge. He read the Quran. He is a hafiz of the Quran. He has memorized Bukhari, Muslim. He has memorized all those books. He is a sheikh of the highest level. And then he will be brought in front of the Almighty Allah. And Almighty Allah will say, I've given you this mercy. What did you do with it? قَالَ تَعَلَّمْتُ الْقُرْآنِ وَعَلَّمْتُ. I learned the Quran, Ya Allah, and I taught people the Quran. وَقَرَأْتُ فِيكَ الْقُرْآنِ. And I read the Quran because of you, Ya Allah. And then Almighty Allah will say, كَذَبْتَ. You are lying. وَلَكِنَّكَ تَعَلَّمْتَ لِيُقَالَ عَالِمٌ. You did that so that people will say, wow, Kishk, you're very good. You speak nice. You have knowledge. Your hadith is perfect. وَقَدْ قِيلٌ. The people of dunya, they said it already. ثُمَّ أُمِرَ بِهِ فَسُحِبَ عَلَى وَجْهِهِ حَتَّى أُلْقِيَ فِي النَّارِ. And then he will be thrown into the hellfire head. The next one is for those of you who have money. You spend $5,000, $10,000 on the masjid, $2,000. You always give your monies to the masjid. وَرَجُلٍ وَسَّعَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَعَاطَاهُ مِنْ أَصْنَافِ الْمَالِ كُلِّ. The Almighty Allah has given you money. And then on the day of Qiyamah, you will be asked, I gave you money, what did you do with it? And then he will say, مَا تَرَكْتُ مِنْ سَبِيلٍ تُحَبُّ أَنْ يُنْفَقَ فِيهِ إِلَّا أَنْفَقْتُ فِيهَا لَكَ. أو تحب أن تنفق فيه إلا أنفقت فيها لك. Ya Allah, there is no time that they've come to seek help in terms of money that I have not given the money. قال, and Almighty Allah will say, كذبت. You are lying. ولكنك فعلت ليقال هو جواد. You did that so that people will say, you give money. Oh, you're good. You're not stingy. فقد قيل. You've already been praised in the dunya. ثم أمر به فسحب على وجهه ثم ألقي في النار. He will also be thrown into the hellfire head first. My brothers and sisters, Riyah, showing off, is very, very dangerous. It eats your good deeds same way fire eats dry leaves. It destroys it. Don't ever do any form of ibadah in this dunya because of people. Don't ever do it. There are some ibadah that you must do it publicly. Salah, you do it publicly. Hajj, you do it publicly. Zakat, you do it publicly. But then there are some ibadah that is between you and Almighty Allah, like dhikr. Dhikr is between you and Almighty Allah. That is why some scholars say even holding the rosary and roaming about with it is riyah, is showing off. Keep it in your pocket if you want to hold it. We don't buy the idea of holding rosary. But personally, I don't see anything wrong if someone wants to hold a rosary. That's my personal opinion. Unless he feels that holding the rosary is a form of ibadah, then that's bid'ah.
Yes.
But if he's using it as a means to just count, then I don't have any problem with that. But if he sees it as a form of ibadah, that me that I'm holding the rosary, I'm more pious than you, then that's bid'ah. So some of the scholars say, just to move away from falling into showing off, keep your rosary in your pocket. You know where I'm coming from? Some people, their rosary, if you give it to a 2-year-old child, he cannot hold it because it's heavy. Some people have rosaries around their necks. Some people have 3, 4 on their arms and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's showing off. That's what I'm saying. But then it is one way of showing off. It's a way, it's a shortcut to showing off. So some scholars say even holding the rosary, if you're not careful, it might lead you to show off. Because dhikr is a covenant between you and Almighty Allah. Nobody needs to know you are doing dhikr. Nobody needs to know. Because nobody is going to reward you. It's only the Almighty Allah who is going to reward you. So why will people know? Why should people know that you are doing dhikr? Why? Nobody needs to know. That is why dhikr is something that you do in your quiet time. You do it secluded, away from everybody, between you and Almighty Allah. That's it. But then there are some ibadah that are public. Eid prayer is done in public. Even that, you should be very careful. Because in Islam, we have 2 criteria for the acceptance of good deeds. First one, you must make sure you do it for the sake of the Almighty Allah and the Almighty Allah alone. Second, make sure you do it how the Prophet Muhammad taught us. Al-Ikhlas wal-Mutaba'a. So for example, you've come into the Masjid after Maghrib and we finish praying, and you look, some people are doing their adhkar, some people are reading their Quran, some people are doing the nafil, and then you come. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And people are like, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Even doing it, you aspire to say who is looking at you. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. You recite Fatiha perfectly. You bring the surah perfectly. Even ruku, Allahu Akbar. You go and then even ruku, you are even balancing your shoulders so that you get the ruku very well. You go to sujood, even the salamu alaikum, you did it like how Sudais does it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. 0. Even though you did Fatiha perfectly well, you did the surah perfectly well, you did the ruku excellent. But because your intention is that people should be aware, take notice that the next Imam of the Haram has visited us in Wasatiyah. 0. How we get it? The person who will come and then his Fatiha has problem. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. He reads his Fatiha, problem. But then his intention is for the Almighty Allah. That's the kind of salah that the Almighty Allah wants. Not yours that you have all the tajweed, you have all the makharij, you have all the sweetness in the Arabic language, but then your intention is that people should see you. You see, the Almighty Allah, He doesn't want any rivals. In anything, in any way. Came with the problem that her husband wants to add another wife. And the sheikh was like, oh, that's no problem. Islam allows it and stuff like that. For you to see. The student, poured water on him, and then he after he was resuscitated, they asked him, Sheikh, what happened? They why will you, what's the cause for you fainting? He said, I remembered if it was possible for the Almighty Allah to take away the hijab between us and him, if we see him one on one, you realize that the Almighty Allah is beyond you adding any rival to the Almighty Allah. That's why I fainted. Now we are all quiet. Yes. Can you go over that? I'm going to go over that, Chief. The woman said, if it was possible for her to take off her hijab, for the Imam to see her, the way Imam himself, and the Imam fainted. So when he was resuscitated, the student asked him, why did you faint? He said, this is what the woman said. But what came into my mind is that if the Almighty Allah takes away the partition between we and him now, and then we're seeing Allah in this dunya, you yourself will know that the Almighty Allah is beyond you associating partners with him.
No, come on.
So, Riyah is what the Prophet Muhammad feared for us the most. Doing something because of people. And the frightening thing is that this is what has taken over the Muslim community now. People who do good things and you find it on social media. Someone will say, Sheikh, you are giving tafsir now and this is on social media. You are going live on Facebook. Isn't that also Riyah? No, that is not Riyah. Gathering. People are outside who are not in the masjid that can learn or benefit from it. So their ibadah, that is a public ibadah. There's nothing you can do about it. Even in that public ibadah, you must make sure you protect your heart. You protect it from falling into riyah. And this is a very dangerous thing. Riyah, showing off. Let's be mindful of that. So we're speaking about the criteria. So okay, what if you come into the masjid, there was nobody in the masjid, only you in the masjid? Allah Pip, you're gone. Because there's nobody in the masjid, nobody is there to listen to your nice class, so you just did it anyhow. The same way chicken eats food, chicken they eat food, chop, 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 chop. You did it and then you get up and then you left. You've not done the salah the way the Prophet Muhammad taught us to do salah. That is also what? That is also zero. Part of the ways that the Prophet Muhammad taught us to offer salah is that Asr is 4 rakat, right? You don't say that today we are in the month of Ramadan and then your level of iman is high, so you're going to give Allah bonus. So instead of 4, you're going to do 6. That is also zero. Unless maybe you forget whether you are in the 3rd rakah or in the 4th rakah and then you add 1. That's different. But then intentionally you add 1 rakah or 2, 0. Because you didn't do it the way the Prophet Muhammad taught us. So let's not forget these two things. Anytime you are offering ibadah, any ibadah that you are going to do, first and foremost, wallahi, make sure you are doing it for the sake of the Almighty Allah. Secondly, make sure you're doing it the way the Prophet Muhammad taught us. If there is ibadah that there is no methodology from the Prophet Muhammad then that ibadah is not Islamic. Let's remember this. If you're going to do anything, any ibadah, any form of worship, anything that is going to get you closer to the Almighty Allah, and then you don't have a blueprint from the Prophet Muhammad it means he never did it. Because if he did it, you will have the blueprint. Since he didn't do it, free yourself from it. And go and hold on to what the Prophet Muhammad did and what he taught us to do. وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَعُونَ. And these people, they deny people, they refuse people basic help. Basic help. Oh, can you give me tissue paper? No. This is basic help. And that's what al-ma'un means. Basic things that all of us need. No. Can you give me a bottle of water? No. If that's how you are part of this surah. Unless you are incapacitated. But if you are well-to-do, and someone comes to you, and you know the person, or even you don't know the person. No, can I get, bottle of water? Can I get a bottle of water? Yes, this is the bottle of water. Can I get a pen? This is a pen. You know, if someone is stingy up with water, you know that this guy is the champion. That's the end. If someone can be stingy with water, then that's the end. And with Almighty Allah safeguard us. I think we'll pause for today's class because that's the end of the surah. And the next surah tomorrow is quite substantial. And I have a class with Dr. Tahir at 6:45 too. So yes, so I need to crave your indulgence. We'll just have 15 minutes of questions, and then I'll have to run away. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum. So Abdullah, you switch that off, and then we'll have a 15 minutes question, and then